Morning guys, Brit in Spain. Do I have any regrets about moving to Spain? This is my office, and obviously this says tea, but I'm drinking coffee. Well, I've just finished it. But this is my office, and as you see here, we've had the sunrise this morning, still coming up. Been here since about 6 o'clock this morning, just wandering up and down. I'd have to say my only regrets about Spain, if I hadn't done it, is that I hadn't tried. That is pretty much it. If I had never done this, I would have regretted for the rest of my life that I hadn't tried. One of the things I will say about people that say they regret moving to Spain, it's often around other things. For example, they couldn't find a job. Do you speak Spanish? No. Did you try? No. Those are the sort of things that are the realities of it. People fail because they fail, not because the country failed them. If you're expecting to move to another country and it's going to adapt to you, then go to the UK. No, you've got to expect that here nothing is going to be done for you unless you're a tourist, because the tourism still has that same issue. You know, a lot of the Spanish will not yield to the way tourists want it. Even you'll get stopped by the Guardia, the police sometimes. They'll say, why don't you speak Spanish? You've been here long enough, you know. Not that they've said that to me, I've said it to a friend of ours. but the point being is, you got to adapt. If you don't adapt, of course you're going to complain and blame Spain for your failures. That's what people do. Oh, by the way, this is the Mr. Tractor over here. He's going up and down the beach, tidying the beach up, just so people are aware that things do actually get done here. But the point being is, if you want to fail in life, take responsibility for it. Sorry, if you want to fail in life, blame others for it, or blame Spain for it, or whatever. If you want to succeed, recognize your failings. See, one of the things I recognize about myself is I'm way too blunt to people, but that's why I did well in corporate world, because I'm aggressively blunt. Because you have to be, because everyone around you are aggressively deflecting their incompetence and other things. So you have to be extremely blunt and take abuse on the chin sometimes, at the same time push it back. At the same time, as an individual and a person, I'll try to be the opposite of that, but I do recognise my bluntness often comes through. But if you want to succeed in Spain, see how I'm spinning this round to a positive point? If you want to succeed in Spain, recognise where you're going to have to change. If you want to work in one of these places here for a bar or restaurant, bear in mind they already have a lot of people that speak more than one language, because they'll speak Spanish, English, and like Christine, she speaks Spanish and improving her English, but she comes from, I think, Lithuania, so she already speaks more languages than I do, which isn't very hard. But the point is, she's multilingual, and a lot of the people that work in the bars and restaurants are multilingual. Unless you live in one of the more what I call Brit towns, and I get flack for saying it, although they're predominantly British people that live there, you're going to struggle, because those places you can talk English because more than half the people are English. So I do recommend languages, and not just Spanish. I would actually learn Scandinavian. I'd pick up one of those because the real estate agents want it. But the other thing is, think out the box a little bit. A friend of ours works from home as a business development manager, a BDM, not to be confused with something else that sounds very similar. He calls up businesses and sells services and products for other companies. Now, he earns at least 4 times as much as these guys that work in the restaurants. He's living here, he's working here, his employers are in America, and he just basically calls through Skype. Fast internet required. La Mata now has it, except I've got 2 main boxes and none in the house at the minute. But the point is, La Mata is getting there. But those are the sort of things you got to look at, because if you work in a call center here, you'll struggle to make 250 a week. There's a few call centers I've talked to, and they say, oh, their top agents earn 250 a week, and I'm like, what? that's as much as these guys are in here waiting tables near enough. It's not enough. What I mean is, the fact is you can work from home and earn more. Finding your own people to work with on things like freelancer, etc., or going through LinkedIn and setting up your own services on LinkedIn and trying to pull your own clients. It's not going to be an easy road, I'll tell you that now, but once you get a few clients, the sky's the limit. But that you've got to bear in mind, a lot of people in Spain are what's called autonomo, self-employed. And they find their own work that way. This is why one of the reasons there's a lot of small businesses in Spain. Their economy is sort of developed around that. They don't really have these massive factories here. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've seen them, when you're driving for miles, you see a lot of big factories here and there. But do you really want to work in an industrial area? An industrial agricultural area in the middle of nowhere? So you've got to think out the box. There is options out there, and I know a couple of people are doing quite well on forex trading and crypto trading at the minute. A friend of mine yesterday was telling me let's put it this way, he's earned enough for this year already. And someone else is just getting into the ropes a bit, but she's already cleared pretty much nearly enough. I mean, by the end of this week, she's in a position where she's earned enough for the month within 2 weeks, sitting at home trading on the internet. So the point is, there is other options out there, but never turn around and say I regret moving to Spain, because there's got to be a because, and the because is I didn't make it there, or I didn't make enough money, I found it hard to integrate, blah blah blah. There is always something there. It's the easy option to blame the country. And I can understand where some people retire here and buy a property and then get sick and want to go home. Now, I understand it, but Spain didn't create that dilemma. The housing boom created that problem. The reality is, should you have overstretched yourself on buying something so expensive? No, because do you know what? Your dream was to live out your golden years in Spain. Spain didn't fail. You still got the same property you'd invested in. The problem you've had is health. The rest of it was still the same. Spain can't be responsible for your health in that case. It's a case of you've had problems here which are unrelated to the country. They're related to decision making. And that's one of the things I'll say is I've made mistakes through my life. Don't get me wrong. I do think I wasted too much time on my own family, for example. Not my wife and kids, but some of my siblings. I do think I wasted a lot of time and effort on them. But at the same time, I recognize it, move past it. This is what you should be looking at. What gets you up in the morning? If you want to become a millionaire and live in Spain, then you're probably not going to make it. If you want to come here and develop business ideas that are tech-based, online and stuff like that, the location's perfect for it. Because the advantage you've got here is the internet is, in some areas, up to 600 megabytes, which is fast enough to run servers. The advantage you've got is housing costs are relatively cheap. Your electric costs and stuff I find are pretty cheap. Some people say, oh, they're expensive here, but myself, I find it relatively cheap. Infrastructure is good. Access to the airports is good. There's a lot on offer. In the same way, when you need to have a break, you can just walk down to the beach and switch off from it all. So, in all honesty, if I failed here, there's only one person who's responsible for that. It's myself. But I definitely wouldn't have any regrets on it, beyond maybe I should have made some different decisions earlier on, but it would still mean I would be here, because the argument would be with myself that if I'd done something better, I would have been here still. So for me, no regrets, and I'm not planning on leaving, by the way. Thanks for watching.